Hello and welcome to all you Librans out there. This is your yearly horoscope for 2023. Let's have a look at what is important. No, not really the fact that outer planets are clashing with each other like it did in 2022. And I'm recording this now, so it's still happening. The Uranus-Saturn square, it's done next year. No such thing. Not even a Pluto with Uranus square or whatever, that was really important for the Librans, but that is long time ago. So what we see here is that the year will not have those major clashes with those outer planets like Pluto, Neptune, Uranus and Saturn. But what it does mean is that these planets, we are going to have a look at in what kind of area of life this is positioning in your chart. But we will start with what I find very important for you Librans, because it's your ruler. It's the Venus retrograde. And that is going to occur around and about, let's have a look, July, at the end of July up until September. We're going to have Venus retrograde in Leo. So very significant for you. Although Leo, it is a fire sign, so that goes very well with your Libra energy. It is, of course, a retrograde, and it's you that is retrograding, which means it's not only in your third house, right? It is, let me check. No, it's not the third house. It's the 11th house, Veerle. Okay, it's the 11th house, even better. And so it's going backwards and forwards, but it also means that you are going to reassess a lot. And you are going to reassess the things that are close to the heart, because it's in Leo. And in your 11th house, it is a lot about your friends. And it is also a lot about the goals for your future. There is a reassessment going on. We will get more into detail when we come to the monthly horoscopes, but it shows that in the year of 2023, there will be changes occurring for you when it comes to your friendships. Like with Venus there, it could mean a friendship becomes more than a friend. It could also mean that once you didn't like a friend and now you do like them because certain circumstances happened or events, and it made you think like, maybe I did the wrong thing about my discernment here. This was not really correct. And it could have happened, of course, it can happen also the other way around. But you know me, I like to say things in a positive way, because what we focus on becomes bigger. So let's focus on what could go right rather than what could go wrong. So, yes, at its best, it's having some new goals there, some old goals. You're putting it away because it's no longer suiting you. And because of that, it has a very positive effect on your future when Venus then goes direct again. So that is nice here for sure. And Mars going forwards at the very beginning of the month in Gemini, a fellow air sign for you, is around and about the midst of January, like the 12th, the 13th of January. That is awesome. That can mean that you are going to travel or study or all of them, or at least having an interest in a bigger perspective. And that is very positive overall. Now let's have a look at the outer planets, what's going on there. Of course, we still have Pluto in Capricorn squaring up to your energy, and that's for most of the year. Although between March and June, Pluto is going to shift into Aquarius. That will be better for you. But still, when you, particularly when you have planets around and about 27 degrees, 28, 29 degrees of Libra, you will feel Pluto squaring up to your energy. So that is still a very transformative energy between now, the first January up until June, March it is it March? Yes, January up until March, and then June up until the end of the year, you still feel that Pluto in your fourth house squaring up to your energy. So still, like last year, the transformation when it comes to your emotional well-being, how you deal with actually crises on an emotional level is about to change or is changing for you. And that is a good thing ultimately, but it's not always an easy thing to, especially when things have served you for such a long time on an emotional level. It's the fight or flight mechanism. For many of us, it's something that is a survival mechanism from childhood, and it can come up for some of you. But the reason it comes up is to heal and to transform it. So, let's say, for instance, that you always use when you are in a crisis, you fight, you run, baby, run. And now you can transform that into, no, I'm just going to stand still, even when the energy, especially in relationships as well, even when the energy is very awkward, I'm going to just feel it, let it pass me rather than running away from it. And then it's way easier to deal with because one, it goes away faster. And second, you've dealt with it. So it's not going to come up all of the time. So a lot for you, it's still about emotional well-being and how strongly you are dealing with this and by going through it rather than running away from it. Now, but as I said, between March and June, you're going to have Pluto in the 5th house. So that shows huge transformations. It's still Pluto, but it is in a trine energy in Aquarius to your sign. So that is smoothly, but still intense, right? Because of the Pluto. And what that shows is that area of your life that has to do with children, that has to do with romance, that has to do with your own projects or things that... the things that you do because you love to do them, they are under a transformation and to become more real and authentic. So that's definitely a good thing. But it's just tiptoeing. It's just the very beginning. And it's very good energy for you when you want to empower yourself, definitely in love as well, to take your power back and to do romance with a 50-50. Rather than you investing 80% and they invested 20%. It's not going to work. Neptune is not that important for you. Like last year, it's in your 6th house. So it keeps on going there. Yes, for Librans, I find that it's not always easy to have a schedule, a routine, and to stick to that. That will be the same with the Neptune there. But on a good level, you can do a lot of... things to stay healthy on a very Neptunian way, like swimming, like meditating, like yoga. All of these things can be very good for your health. And also when it comes to your routines and your work, it's actually good if you do something for the collective, which is very Neptunian. So, but that's the same as last year. Now, Uranus is also not that important for you. It's in your 8th house and it's going to stay there for the rest of the year, but without the square of Saturn. So what this means is the same, that there is like ups and downs when it comes to your resources that you share with someone else, or when it comes to investment. It could be a little bit tricky there. So it's still that energy, but it could also mean insights that you have all of a sudden when it comes to your psychological understanding of the self, and also intimacy. When you've been very afraid of being vulnerable, this Uranus can really prompt you into, you have to, that kind of energy. So Saturn is still in your 5th house in a fellow air sign up until March. So still up until March with Saturn there, that is the big teacher, is to structure that 5th house. You could say, how can you structure matters of the heart? But it means stability. So it could mean that you have a little bit more stability with your children, or you try to discipline them, and it goes quite well because remember, Saturn is there in Aquarius, which is a fellow air sign. It can also mean that less is more, that instead of doing 3 hobbies, you're doing 1 and you're sticking to that, and it gives you fulfillment. But after March, so during March and the rest of the year, Saturn will also be in your 6th house. Now, that is a good thing, because that is going to compromise, you could say, that same 6th house where you have a little bit of difficulty of having some good routines there. With the Saturn coming in March, it shows that you will be obliged to do a little bit more of the, you know, steady routines in order to keep yourself healthy mentally and physically, but also in order to keep the work going and your responsibilities. So that is a bit like, you could say, responsibility energy. Saturn in your 6th house. Again, I don't think this will be too bad for you, but it could also mean that you've got like quite a lot of responsibilities at work, and that you have to be very smart, not working harder, but smarter, more efficient when you have Saturn there in Pisces. And then, very interesting is, of course, Jupiter at the beginning of the year, 1 degree of Aries, and it goes on and on. So it is, Jupiter is still opposing your 7th house of relationships up until May. And that is a good thing. Whether you are single, not single, having difficulties in your relationship, having Jupiter there always shows that there is purpose, that you learn a lot from whatever is happening. If you are single, you could really meet someone Jupiterian-like, which is very positive and which is very buoyant, which could be someone from, I almost said another planet, I hope not, but another country, so with a different background. But it surely is that people have your best interest. So even if you would go through a divorce with Jupiter to the 7th, I've always seen it that people are very friendly to each other and kind when they separate. So, but on another level, it can mean multiple lovers. It could mean that you've got more choice than ever. So that can be a luxury problem, by the way, if you are already in a relationship, because that's also Jupiter in the 7th. But whatever it is, I would say keep the mind and your spirit up there, because when it comes to learning from others, this definitely when Jupiter is in your 7th house. It shifts in May to your 8th house in Taurus, and that is real. That is real. It could mean, as from then and the rest of the year, you could have more attraction of resources that you share with someone. So more resources, or your spouse, for instance, has a promotion or an inheritance or a tax return, you know, all that, those good stuff that could happen. Of course, an inheritance is always, you have to see more things in a chart when that is occurring. It's not always nice, is it? Well, mostly it isn't. But it can also mean abundance when it comes to the value that you get from other people. And mostly that is because you're not needy, because you're valuing yourself more, which is a very beautiful thing. Now, last but not least, it is the nodes that are also shifting from Taurus and Scorpio into your sign, and the opposite sign of Aries. So still up until July, you still have those nodes in those value houses. So keep reminding yourself on you being also open to getting help from other people. No matter what it is that they're trying to give you, whether it is moral support, financial support, whatever. But as from July, the focus is more on relationships. The focus is more on a significant other, can be really important in your life. You attracting new people, again, foreign people with the North Node there, but also it could mean people that have your best interest and where you learn a lot from. But that is because you shedding off your own skin, so to speak, because the South Node is in your sign, in Libra. And that is so significant because it means that an old part of you, of your personality, of your identity when it's your Sun, it's a big chunk of your personality when it's your ascendant, it needs to go. And therefore you're attracting those new people in your life because you have changed. And it can be as simple as from your status is changing, or you're getting a child, for instance, and you change because life is going not to be the same anymore. You know, that kind of stuff. No, so yes, when you see the overall, it's quite an interesting year with a lot of emphasis on relationships, a little bit more on work. For those of you who do work, remember there what I was telling about the good discipline, and to improve the efficiency of your work is going to be very important for you. Having said that, I wish you all the best, dear Librans. Enjoy the year. See you next time. Bye-bye.